Hello everybody, Dylan here. Now, as you guys saw in the Sonic Forces trailers, a lot of old villains will be returning, one of them including Shadow. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, isn't Shadow a good guy? Well, I'm gonna see if I can explain why Shadow is here today on DHT. Now, before we can take a look at Shadow's possible motivations in Forces, I have to do a brief history lesson of Shadow the Hedgehog, so you know what I'm talking about. Shadow the Hedgehog debuted in Sonic Adventure 2. He was created by Gerald Robotnik, and as we found out in his solo game, Shadow the Hedgehog, he was created using Black Doom's DNA. Black Doom is an evil alien in space that wanted to take over the world. Now, you would assume that just because he has Black Doom's DNA, he would be evil. Well, it turns out Shadow isn't evil. Shadow befriended Gerald's granddaughter named Maria, and it was through befriending her that he realized that humanity is something that's worth saving, and it's something that is worth defending. Now, in Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow is playing the role of the bad guy. This is because he doesn't fully remember his past, and he doesn't fully remember what Maria wanted him to do, and he's just going off of the vague instructions that an insane Gerald Robotnik left him to do. Gerald Robotnik wasn't totally secure after his granddaughter died, so really listening to him isn't so smart. Shadow was more misguided than he actually was evil in Sonic Adventure 2. The thing that shows it is, at the end, Shadow chooses to help Sonic save the planet rather than just letting the planet get blown up. Shadow didn't have to help Sonic, he could have just let everything get blown up and then his job would be done. But he realized that Maria wants him to save people, and he chose to save the Earth. Now, we thought he died in Sonic Adventure 2, but instead he ended up burning up into the Earth's atmosphere right before he completely died. Eggman's robot saved him, and then they brought him to Eggman's ship, and this will transition over to Sonic Heroes. In Sonic Heroes, we see that Shadow is being held on Eggman's ship when Rouge and Omega finds him. Now, it's hinted for a little bit there that he could be an android, but we don't really know. Shadow's just trying to find Eggman so Eggman can tell him who he is. I don't know if Shadow has any negative intentions for Eggman, but from what it seems like, he wasn't really trying to hurt anybody. He just wanted to figure out who he was so he can move on with his life. He was even willing to work with Rouge and Omega, so it shows that he's at least somewhat kind and caring. Now, from this, we move on to his next appearance, Shadow the Hedgehog. In Shadow the Hedgehog, his biological father Black Doom shows up to take over the world. He tells Shadow that he was designed to help him take over the world and that he should bring him the Chaos Emeralds. There's plenty of endings for Shadow the Hedgehog, but the proper ending is Shadow gets over the fact that Maria was killed by gun soldiers, and he ends up helping the gun soldiers defeat Black Doom, his father, and he saves the entire planet from the Black Comet and the Black Arms. This shows that Shadow's finally willing to let go of who he was. He even drops the photo of Maria and says Shadow the Hedgehog is no more. So it really shows that he's over his past, he's over everything bad that happened to him, he's ready to help people and he's ready to help the world. This will really show in his next appearance, unfortunately, Sonic 06. In Sonic 06, Shadow is doing just like he did in Shadow the Hedgehog, working with Omega and Rouge, but this time he's working as an official agent of Gun, showing that there's no hard feelings for what happened with Maria. He realizes that happened over 50 years ago. He's finally moved on and he has a job helping the government and helping the world. This really shows maturity out of Shadow, and it shows that he's completely done with being a villain. He's not 100% a good guy because he's still going to use guns, he's still gonna run people over with his car, but at least he's fighting for what we can see as good people and right causes. In Sonic 06, there is a villain named Mephiles. Mephiles looks like Shadow. He says that Shadow is gonna be betrayed by the government in the future. They're gonna capture him, and he even shows his captured body as proof. Shadow didn't care about this, and he said if the world chooses to fight him, then he'll fight the world. This shows that he has no negative intent, and he doesn't want petty revenge anymore. If it happens, it happens. That's just how Shadow sees things now. He's no longer the person that's out for revenge. He's no longer the person that's out for for petty squabbles. He doesn't insult Sonic anymore. He's just there to help people. And that's why in Sonic 06, he never questions his loyalty, and he knows he has to stop Mephiles at any cost. Now, unfortunately, this is the last game we'll be able to see Shadow's kind emotions and Shadow's character progression, because after this, Sega decided to step back from the characters and only focus on Sonic. So before we hop into analyzing Shadow the Hedgehog to see why he could be working with Infinite, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of his powers. This is just going to be a brief summary of his powers. I'm not going to mention everything, so if I forget something, don't get mad at me. Most of Shadow's powers derives from the fact that he uses chaos energy manipulation. You can tell this with his Chaos Blast, his Chaos Spears, and most notably Chaos Control. He can literally slow down time or speed up time to benefit himself. We've seen him do this in Shadow the Hedgehog when he needs to get to one area really fast. We've seen this in Sonic 06 when he slows down time to kick Silver, and we've seen this in Sonic 06 again where him and Sonic can even time travel using Chaos Control. As you can tell, Shadow is really OP. Not to mention he can step it up and be even more OP by popping off his inhibitor rings. His inhibitor rings holds back his chaos energy. Now, supposedly he might run out of energy if he keeps them off for too long, but this has never been proven in the games. It's only been talked about in Sonic X. So we've only seen him pop the bands off once, and that's in Sonic 06, and he was able to destroy a whole cluster of Mephiles. So as we can see, he's extremely powerful, and he can definitely handle himself. This will be important for later, I guarantee you. So now, since we've looked at Shadow the Hedgehog's character progression, his morality, and his powers, we can finally determine why Shadow might be here. Now, for what most people would be thinking is the obvious one, he just turned evil or he just wants to see Sonic's end, we've already talked about this. Throughout all of the previous narrative games, Shadow has moved past everything. He doesn't want to kill Sonic anymore. He doesn't want to be a bad guy. He doesn't even hold issues with the military. He works for the military that killed the most important person in his life. He would not be doing this for evil reasons. So we can mark off because he's evil or he wants revenge right away. He's not going to be like the other villains there. Now, the second option is one that people have talked about due to the Infinite trailer. There's one frame where Shadow has a weird squinty eye. Now, this makes a lot of people wonder, is this even the real Shadow? As far as I know from Sega's confirmations, this is supposed to be the real Shadow. So we can eliminate Shadow Android, we can eliminate Clone or anything like that. If he has this weird squinty eye, it would have to mean that he's being mind controlled. And judging by the fact that we don't know who Infinite is or what powers he has, mind control could definitely be one of them, or mind manipulation. And his eyes turning into that squinty look, that definitely could be a sign of him being manipulated. I wouldn't doubt if Shadow is doing this not of his own accord, but because he thinks that he's doing the right thing because he's being mind controlled. But that's not the one that I think is the most likely answer. Let's get into the one that I think is most likely to happen right now. One thing I mentioned earlier is that after the events of Shadow the Hedgehog, Shadow was working for the military agency known as GUN. Now, this is important because the first time we meet Rouge is in Sonic Adventure 2, and in this game, Rouge is working undercover as a GUN agent to spy on Eggman. This means that Shadow definitely could be undercover as a military assignment, and from what we know from Sega, Shadow is here by his own reasons. So I'm pretty sure that we can assume that he's undercover trying to see what this Infinite is so the military can find a way to stop it. That's most likely to be what's happening here. He knows how gullible Eggman is, and he's hoping to pry on that gullibility. Eggman probably knows that Shadow is an agent, but he's keeping him around because it's just useful to have him there. Thank you guys for watching this Sonic Theory. I'm hoping that this could clear up at least some of the questions you had about Shadow being on Eggman's side in Forces. And if you like this theory, remember to hit the like button. If you really like it, remember to hit the share button. And if you want to see more content like this, and subscribe. I have a VidMe, so go check that out too. It's Dylan Thomas DHT. And now we're going to do something different, something new. I'm going to be mentioning the two people that are donating to me on Patreon. People have been asking for shoutouts for a long time, and I decided if you donate to me on Patreon, you'll become a producer. producer, and I will give you a shout out at the end of the videos. So if you want to do that, then you can choose to donate. The starting fee is $2, and you can donate anything past that if you want to. So let's give thanks to our producers. Now, sorry if I fuck up names in advance. I'm not very good at this. If I mess up your name, then contact me on Patreon. We can get into a Skype call and you can teach me how to say your name. First, I'm going to mention the easy name, Kira the Hedgehog. She's been donating since the end of last month, so she's a patron for right now. And then we have Diane Where's Bicky. If I said your name wrong, then sorry, Diane. You can contact me and we can call on Skype and I can try to figure out how to say your name right. I am so sorry. But thank you too for donating. It really helps out the channel. And if anybody else wants to donate, the Patreon's gonna be in the description below. It always is, so you can donate if you want to. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.